Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ōkami walkthrough. So, Susano ran off to train, but doesn't really look like that's quite happening, to be honest. Ugh, what a lazy sod. Well, the only way that we're going to get him to move is to get him some sake. The only way to do that is to go into Kushi's house, who we haven't... well, we've literally just met now. And she is the sake brewer. Now, in terms of Japanese, well, Shinto mythology specifically, Kushi is based on Kushi Narahime, who is the wife of the god Susano. And basically, she is entirely wrapped up in the whole myth of Susano and Orochi and all of that. So, she's got a very important role, this Kushi. Not that you're going to see her that much, but... either way, basically part of the reason why her hairstyle is the way it is, it looks like a comb, and that's because as part of the myth, she gets turned into a comb to escape. It's something along those lines. It's a little bit weird, but oh well. And, I absolutely adore this theme. It's one of the best songs out there. It's glorious. Now, I believe that it's called Susano's Training, and I believe this is Impatient Susano. I've got kind of a wonderful list of the songs in the soundtrack, and actually I do own the physical soundtrack. I think I got it for like an 18th birthday present, actually. And it's truly wonderful. Like, you'll probably hear me go on and on and on and on and on about this throughout the course of the game, but this soundtrack is glorious. Because, I mean, it's composed by Masami Ueda, Hiroshi Yamaguchi, Rei Kondo, and Akari Groves. With pretty much all of the tracks being done by Ueda, Kondo, and Yamaguchi. But all of the tracks associating with Susano are just glorious. Like, they're just so exciting and uplifting, it's wonderful. And actually, there's very little left for us to do in Kamiki now. So thankfully we can, at least the plan, after a little bit more hunting down, because I think there's some chests that we can get, I think. It will be time to head out from Kamiki into the great wide world beyond and see what's going on there. And something else I should also point out in the Ōkami soundtrack is that it makes absolutely phenomenal use of light motifs. Something that I have habitually mispronounced for many, many, many years. Basically, sort of, it's, so a leitmotif is a short, constantly recurring musical phrase, and Ōkami is literally full of them. So, there's a song called Reset, which is, it's basically the credits theme, but it appears in numerous guises throughout the game, and it's beautiful. Susanoo's theme appears incredibly frequently. And the song which will be the final boss theme also has numerous renditions of itself throughout the game. So it's just amazing. And as anybody who has followed me for any prolonged period of time will know, any time that there are instances of leitmotifs in games, I'm just in love. It's something to do with, I think, the fact of music has a very powerful ability to tie things together and to play with the emotions. And so when you get musical leitmotifs that tie a story together, it unifies the entire experience into something quite magical. And that's kind of how I would describe Ōkami. It's magical. It's a bit on the slow side, in the grand scheme of things. And I have to say, I definitely have heard of a number of people getting bored of Ōkami. And, well, to those people I would say, you really do just need to give it a chance, because it's a phenomenal game. But, oh well, to each their own. Now, after getting rid of that boulder, the merchant opens up and we are able to buy stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have that much yen at the minute, but it's definitely worth us getting a bunch of feedbacks. Because, well, feeding animals earns you praise, as we learned reasonably recently. And there are a bunch of animals that we need to feed throughout Kamiki. Now, if you are slightly confused about what I'm planning on doing here, is I am going to feed every single animal in the game. We are going to have 100% in the animal tome, which is one of the many things that you can look at in your menu. So, look forward to that. Because I did have to do some backtracking, because I missed some feeding. But we are going to get every single animal. Which I don't think is something that necessarily always gets shown off. I mean, there is a very specific reason for that. It's because really nobody cares about feeding all the animals all the time. But I mean, if you want praise, they are a phenomenally good source for that. And I do mean that very, very seriously. Especially when you get towards the end of the game, because then you get kind of animals slightly off the beaten track, which will give you, like, potentially, like, 30-40 praise each, which is insanely good. And also, I mean, if you feed all the animals, then it also means that you are much, much, much more likely to be able to eventually fill out, or at least level up, all of your things. As it stands, sort of, the primary things that I am going to be levelling up are health and ink pots, although there will come a point where I do have to upgrade my money pouch. Largely because, you know, there comes a point where you need more money. Thankfully, that point doesn't come for so long. Like, I suppose it's basically around the third point, like, where it hits a third of the way into the game. So, you've got plenty of time to just relax and put money into other places. Not money, praise. And there's a ridiculous amount of animals. Like, you've got the chickens, you've got the sparrows, there are nightingales, there's loads of different types of birds, lots of rabbits and hares. I should point out that, most animals will only eat one type of food. So, like, the dogs will only eat meat, the rabbits will only eat herbs, the chickens and so on will only eat seeds. But there are certain animals that will eat more than one type of food. But I think, God, I can't remember what ones they are. I think monkeys eat multiple types. Rats definitely do. There are a few others, but we're not going to see them for a very long time. Thankfully, what's really helpful is that you can't actually mistakenly feed a seed bag, well, a food bag, to an animal. Because, well, at least you can't feed them ones that they won't eat. So if you tried to give the dog a seed bag, it would not eat it. So you can only give them the correct food bags. Which is a very nice way of not wasting the stuff that you're spending 500 yen on each time. And it turns to night time. As you will have seen, there is a day-night cycle in this game. You can automatically turn it to day if you want by doing sunrise. It's a very helpful technique. However, it can get slightly frustrating before... Well, basically, because certain things only happen at night. Also, lovely video game reference there. I think that's... Akuma in Street Fighter? It's definitely a kind of, I think, a Street Fighter special move, or some sort of fighting game special move that is making a reference to, which is wonderful. But yes, certain things only pop up at night, a la these dig spots. You can find the stuff that's in the dig spots during the day, but it's very difficult if you can't see the little thing of the top of the treasure chest. So, the frustrating thing comes when you want it to be night so that you can see the dig spots, but you have to wait until the time comes that you can look for it all. It could be worse, because, I mean, they could have made it impossible to find stuff during the day, but it's not. If you know where you're looking, you can find them. But either way, also, so we've been picking up all these treasures, and while they look really pretty, they serve basically no purpose other than to earn you money. Thankfully, that is actually quite helpful, because money means that you can buy more items, and later on, buy more weapons. And amongst other things. So, you're going to want to get as many treasures as possible, because they are incredibly helpful. You're also going to want to pick up, it's about kind of 5 feed bags, apart from fish. of each type before you head out from Kamiki, as that will make things so much easier and so much simpler as well, because that amount of feed bags gives you enough food to give to, I think it's pretty much all of the animals in the next area, so that's incredibly helpful. Also, as you can see, I'm kind of a slightly prolific saver, particularly when it reaches the end of recording sessions. Oh my good god, I am terrible when it comes to that. But here we are in Shinshu Field, and it's really not looking good. Now, Shinshu Field should point something very important out to you. So, the world we are in is Nippon. Or Nippon, I'm not quite sure how it's meant to be pronounced. But this is basically a video game mythological representation of ancient Japan. Because Nippon is what Japan's called. That's literally the Japanese name for Japan. So, the state of Japan is Nippon Koku, or Nihon Koku. So yeah, so Nippon. And Shinshu, or I think it is potentially more commonly Romanized, Shinano province, is basically an old province of Japan that is now the present day Nagano prefecture. Why is this actually quite important? Well, a certain video game director was born in the Nagano prefecture in Japan. And that specific director is Hideki Kamiya himself. So, Shinshu actually has a very important place in Hideki Kamiya's heart, because that's where he was born. So I find that really cool that it is the first location in the game. It's great. Now, I should also point out that at the minute we can't really do a whole lot in Shinshu Field. It's pretty much all dead. If we step into the cursed zone, it's not good. You have got to get out, otherwise you will take damage and ink pots will be depleted and it's not going to be pretty. And also we can't do anything with the Guardian Sapling, unfortunately. But also these are demon scrolls. Basically you run into them, you go into a fight. Now, the way that I have edited this walkthrough, unless we are facing down a new enemy or are in a dungeon, I'm going to be cutting out those demon scroll fights. Largely because we'd just be here forever, really, if I showed them all, and most of the time they're not hugely exciting. Does that mean that you're going to not see a whole lot of battles? No, you're going to see quite a lot, especially considering all of the dungeons will be completely full, battles, and all the bosses will be there fine, and trust me, there's a little something right near the end, which is going to be ridiculously full of battles, so you aren't going to be shortchanged. This just speeds up the pace, and generally means that you don't lose the flow, because we have a flow running around these locations, and battles kind of attempt to break that flow, and no, I'd rather have a nice smooth run through the countryside. But it's time to head into Hana Valley. Hana Valley? Hana Valley. There we go. Let's go.